Welcome back to Art Practice ASMR. Today's video is a special Halloween video where you are going to see one of the last pieces of footage I ever filmed before my camera mysteriously died and became unusable. Very spooky. The drawing footage you're going to see is from day 1 of Inktober. I was following the Monstober prompt, and day 1 was teeth. In this drawing, I am doing a scary anglerfish, a deep-sea creature. Please enjoy the drawing footage, or maybe just zone out while listening to the fire. Either way, this year I'm going to tell you one of my true scary stories. Last year I told my true experience with ghosts in my possibly haunted house. And it seemed like a few of you guys really enjoyed that story. So this year I felt like I would follow suit. Except this time it's not about ghosts. It's about something much more real and much more sinister. But before I explain what that means, I should probably give you some backstory about the town I live in. I live in a small town in the Midwest of the United States. It's just outside of a major city, but my town used to be in the middle of farmland. Eventually, the government bought up all the farmland to build government testing facilities, which were then shut down, torn down, and turned into the average American suburb. I do not live in that suburb. I live in the old part of town, the part with all of the old original farm buildings still intact. This is also known as the poorer side of town. Whenever there's a thick blanket of fog covering my town, it seems strangely like Silent Hill, and at night there is always some sort of eerie presence seemingly following you everywhere you go. Last year, I set up a trail cam in my backyard, just out of curiosity about all of the wild animals living around my neighborhood. And I caught a lot of very interesting things. Generally, there was your standard cute possums and skunks, even raccoons, and sometimes foxes. But one night I caught something that absolutely terrified me. This story starts in the middle of the day. My mom comes inside from walking around the yard and tells me that I dropped my lighter in the yard and she picked it up for me. I look at this lighter and it's not one of mine. I tell her that, and she starts to get worried. I tell her not to worry. Maybe someone just threw it over the fence and it landed square in our yard. Sure, it was a little far-fetched, especially because on the other side of our quite sizable yard was an old lady living in a small house who I doubt smoked, and I even more doubted that she would have the throwing strength to get this lighter square in the middle of her yard. So, anyway, I repositioned the cameras and told my mom not to worry. Fast forward to 1 o'clock at night. It's pitch black, and being the vampire that I am wide awake. I was making a late night snack in the kitchen when I heard a loud sound from outside. I looked out the window, and I figured it must have come from the garbage cans. Maybe a possum or raccoon had just raided our trash and decided to escape to the dark corner of our backyard to enjoy their earned meal. I excitably turned on the cam, and that's when I caught it. It wasn't the soft scratching of a tiny clawed creature. It was the soft, muffled voices of two adult men. This, understandably, freaked me out, and as I panicked, I turned on all the outside lights and rushed out to confront them. But by the time I got back there to check, there was no one there. I figured that it must have been my neighbors in their backyard. Maybe they were close enough to their fence that I could hear them through the camera. But then came morning. I checked that area once again, and that's when I found another dropped lighter, as well as burnt newspaper. And this is where I became worried. We have a large stash of firewood around this area, and I wondered if someone was trying to ignite it. If that happened, then they could easily burn down my whole entire house, as well as spread the fire to the neighboring houses. This was worrisome, so for the next few nights I kept a vigilant watch. And unfortunately, I didn't see anything. That was until one night. I heard some sounds, I checked the cams, and there was nothing but static fuzz. Something had cut the camera. I did not go out to investigate. It wasn't until morning that I chose to. And when I did, I was shocked at what I had found. I had theorized that maybe it was an animal. I've heard about rodents chewing through wires, and I figured that's what I would have found. But this cut was way too clean to be an animal gnawing through it. Not only that, but this wire was cut higher up than I think an animal could have even reached. At least the animals around here. So this led me to one conclusion. Someone didn't want to be filmed. Now you're probably wondering, how does this end? And the answer is, it just did. We didn't find any more burnt paper, no more lighters, no more footsteps. It just kind of ended. We didn't know who could have been doing this, but I did have one theory. Our neighbors across the street had been on vacation for a while. They lived in an ancient, original farmhouse, surrounded by deep, thick woods. And one night, I saw two strange men walk out from the clearing. And maybe it was my paranoia talking, but I could have sworn they were staring at me. But maybe not me. Maybe it was the side of my house. Either way, I never saw these guys again. And everything just died down. And I guess that's the end of the story. At least for now. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then give it a like. If you want to see more, then subscribe. Happy Halloween, everybody. Stay safe.